In the early 1970s, Seattle was a port town with misty mornings, seagulls squawking over Puget Sound, and not a single whiff of espresso in the air. It was the age of disco, bell-bottom jeans, and instant coffee. The concept of sipping gourmet espresso while reading a book or typing away on a laptop was completely foreign to most Americans. But tucked into the historic Pike Place market, three friends, Jerry Baldwin, Zeev Siegel, and Gordon Bowker, were about to spark a quiet revolution. Chapter 1. The Humble Bean, 1971-1981. The trio were inspired by Alfred Peet, a Dutch immigrant who had opened Peet's Coffee in Berkeley and introduced high-quality dark-roasted coffee beans to the American market. Motivated by Peet's craft, Baldwin, Siegel, and Bowker opened their own shop in 1971. They named it Starbucks, borrowing from Moby Dick. The name evoked the romance of the sea and the aroma of coffee traveling across oceans. But Starbucks in its earliest days didn't sell coffee by the cup. Instead, they sold beans, coffee machines, and equipment. They were purveyors of roasted beans and educators in how to brew the perfect cup at home. Seattle locals were curious, some skeptical, some enchanted. They grew slowly. By 1981, Starbucks had just 6 stores in Seattle. Chapter 2. Enter Howard Schultz, 1981-1987. Everything changed when Howard Schultz walked into a Starbucks store. Schultz, a marketing executive for a kitchenware company, noticed how passionate customers were about Starbucks coffee. The aroma, the wood-paneled interiors, the careful scooping of beans, it wasn't just retail, it was ritual. He joined the company in 1982 as Director of Retail Operations and Marketing. But Schultz wasn't content. He wanted more than beans in bags. In 1983, a trip to Italy changed everything. Walking through the streets of Milan, he saw something beautiful: espresso bars, locals chatting over cappuccinos, baristas who knew everyone's names. Coffee wasn't just a drink, it was a lifestyle. Schultz pitched the idea to Starbucks founders. Let's turn our stores into Italian-style cafes. Serve coffee. Create a third place between home and work. They were hesitant. Starbucks was about beans, not brewing. So Schultz left. Chapter 3. Il Giornale and the Buyout, 1985-1987. In 1985, Schultz launched his own coffee shop, Il Giornale, named after an Italian newspaper. It was bold, classy, and, most importantly, served espresso drinks. It succeeded. 2 years later, Schultz returned to Starbucks, not as an employee but as a buyer. With the help of investors, he acquired Starbucks for $3.8 million in 1987. From there, his dream took off like steam from an espresso machine. He immediately rebranded his Il Giornale stores as Starbucks and began expanding, first across the Pacific Northwest, then nationally. Chapter 4. Brewing the Brand, 1987-2000. Between 1987 and 2000, Starbucks exploded. They opened new stores at a staggering pace, sometimes 4 to 5 a day. By the year 2000, there were over 3,500 stores worldwide. But Starbucks wasn't just about quantity, it was about experience. Schultz focused on warm lighting and cozy interiors, friendly, knowledgeable baristas, customization, tall, non-fat, half-calf caramel macchiato? No problem. A strong brand identity, green aprons, the siren logo, consistent aesthetics, music, art, books, creating an ecosystem around coffee. More than just coffee, Starbucks was selling aspiration. A paper cup with a green mermaid became a symbol of urban sophistication. Chapter 5. Challenges and Transformation, 2000-2008. In 2000, Schultz stepped down as CEO, passing the reins to Orrin Smith and later Jim Donald. The early 2000s were good, but cracks began to show. By 2007, the brand was overextended. Stores were everywhere. Airports, bookstores, supermarkets. But quality slipped. Critics said Starbucks had become corporate and lost its soul. The 2008 recession didn't help. Sales dropped, shares tumbled. Starbucks was at risk of becoming just another commodity. Then came the comeback. Chapter 6. Schultz Returns and Reinvents, 2008-2017. In 2008, Schultz returned as CEO. His mission: restore the magic. He made bold moves, closed over 900 underperforming stores, took all U.S. baristas offline for a day to retrain them on espresso making, introduced the Starbucks Rewards app, one of the first mobile loyalty programs, embraced technology and digital innovation, order ahead, free Wi-Fi, mobile payments, created new formats, reserve roasteries, drive-thrus, and upscale coffee theater experiences. And it worked. Starbucks rebounded stronger than ever, innovating in food, digital ordering, and customer engagement. By 2017, they had over 25,000 stores in 75-plus countries. Chapter 7. Beyond Coffee, 2017 to 2024. Starbucks in recent years has been as much about purpose as profit. They committed to sustainability, aiming to be resource positive, partnered with farmers globally to ensure ethical sourcing through Coffee and Farmer Equity, CAFE practices, launched plant-based drinks and alternative milks, invested in mental health and education for employees, called Partners, rolled out greener stores, and announced goals to cut carbon and waste in half by 2030. They also leaned into diversity and social responsibility, taking stands on racial equity, refugee hiring, and more, though not without controversy. Leadership passed to Kevin Johnson and later Laxman Narasimhan in 2023, continuing the legacy while steering Starbucks. Through a post-pandemic, hybrid work, eco-conscious world. Chapter 8. The Legacy Today. Starbucks is a $100+ billion global brand, operating 35,000+ stores globally, serving over 100 million customers a week, a symbol of globalization, of coffee culture, and of how a company can evolve without losing its roots. But perhaps the greatest legacy of Starbucks isn't just its size or sales, it's that it changed how the world drinks coffee. In cities from Mumbai to Milan, Tokyo to Toronto, there's a familiar green logo waiting, a space to pause, connect, reflect. a place where coffee is more than a drink. It's an experience. And it all started with a few bags of beans in Seattle.